Welcome to WSOT TV City Talk. I'm your host, Angela Stepp, and we have a very special edition of the show lined up for you today. Now, Mayor Jess Allenball is not going to be joining us today. He'll be back next month in October. Instead, I'm going to be talking with Marion Fire Department Chief Jeff Williams. We'll be visiting with him in just a moment. And then a little later in the show, we have Mike Graff from City Engineering. And we got a chance to visit with Miss Rhonda Pierce, and she gave us a behind-the-scenes look at how the new Wayfinder signs are made, and you'll get to see those going up throughout the city over the next several months. Now, I want to remind you that this show is all about you, your questions, your comments and concerns, anything that has to do with the city of Marion. So we have a couple of different ways that you can communicate with us here on the show. You can call our message line, which is a local number. It's 765-536-WSOT. Now, you can text that number as well. Also, you can go to the show website, which is ctmarion.com, and you can submit your questions and comments online as well. Now, I told you earlier that we have some very special guests for you lined up today, and I have a treat for you. We have the Fire Chief of Marion, Chief Jeff Williams, joining us today. Jeff, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. You know, this is your first year as Fire Chief. We're 9 months into it. And I know that's got to be a whirlwind of a time for you. Fast-paced, a lot of new, a lot of change.
For the most part, I think one of the things that we're doing that might be different, we've really prioritized some of the goals that we have. We're looking forward to, picking up what the last administration left off.
Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things that strikes me is your community involvement. You know, I just got a chance to run into you just this past weekend at the Fly-In Cruise-In, and you brought out that fabulous 1930 fire engine. That was beautiful. Yeah,
we are lucky to have that. Former Mayor Ron Mowry bought that back in the 90s. It's been in storage for a long time. The mayor said, yeah, go ahead, let's get this fixed up. Our mechanic took a look at it. There wasn't a whole lot of things wrong with it. It was basically just elbow grease. We had to get a few parts rebuilt because it was a 1930s truck. They just don't have those parts at AutoZone anymore.
Mm-hmm, right, so true.
It's always a good time. When you drive past people, they wave and they look at it, and some of the older folks, you know, oh yeah, I remember those older trucks. And but it's always a talking piece almost,
it is.
You know. So
beautiful piece of history. So glad that we still have it.
And that truck was built here in Marion. So.
It was right here in Marion?
Yep.
Well, you know, let me then take a chance here, and we'll do a little gratuitous plug here, because Sunnycrest has something coming up October the 1st that you want to know about. It's called Touch a Truck. And for those of you who may not know what Touch a Truck is, it's a family event, and we are going to have all kinds of big vehicles. We're going to have a fire engine. Thank you, Chief Williams, for graciously agreeing to provide that. And we're going to have dump trucks and big tractors and all kinds. We're going to have fire, police, I'm trying to think, backhoes, maybe even a street sweeper. And the whole point is that Chief Williams, you know, kids and their families can come out and they can check out those vehicles, explore them up close and in person, get some hands-on interaction. Maybe even, do you think the kids could, you know, run the sirens?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, climb up in the driver's seat and,
Yep.
See, okay, so that is something that we are looking forward to. That's going to be from 5 to 8 p.m. That's Saturday, October the 1st, from 5 to 8 p.m. And we will have a special sensory-friendly time that's going to be happening from 6:30 to 7, when all of the sirens will be silenced for children who may have need of that. Now, you know, October is Fire Prevention Month, or Fire Safety Month. Tell me a little bit about, I know that the department always does a good bit of effort for raising awareness for fire prevention. What exactly do you have planned this year?
In the past, we usually go to the preschools and the kindergartens, and we talk to the students about fire prevention, stop, drop, and roll, having a plan in case your house would happen to have a fire.
Tell me, though, a little bit about a very special dog that you have named Jersey.
Jersey is our arson dog. Her handler is Brandon Eckstein. He's our fire investigator. We've had her for a couple of years, I think now. She basically detects any kind of accelerants at a fire. Very fortunate to have her. State Farm has been a big sponsor of this, and we're really happy to be partners with them.
Now, she's very rare. Jersey is very rare, her training and her background. I understand she's one of only a few dogs in the state with this capability?
I believe so, yeah. There's not too many around because of the expense that the departments, or if you have a sponsor like State Farm, that puts into these dogs. I mean, it's well over probably $25,000. So
wow,
we're very fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, significant investment. Well, you know, we're talking about fire prevention, and we're talking about Jersey, and we're talking all of these different things. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up to you a question. Now, I had a viewer, and you, thank you so much for those of you who do call in with your questions and your comments. You know, in a previous month, we had a viewer question come in that asked about scanner radios. Now, I'm going to bring that up to Chief Williams because I did bring that up with the mayor last time, and we weren't able to give you a clear answer. And guess what? I have somebody who can give you a clear answer. One of our viewers listens to scanner radio and really enjoys being able to hear dispatch and what's going on in his area. No longer can he hear all of the dispatch calls, and he would like to know why that is and how soon can he expect to hear it again.
Well, the police department, the sheriff's department, and the hospital have switched to an 800 frequency. A lot of times you won't be able to pick that up because it's just not going to be picked up on your scanner. We do a VHF narrowband, so that should still be able to be picked up on someone's scanner.
The fire department.
Yeah, the fire department, and also the hospital does a on both 800 and on VHF too, so they dispatch on those. Okay,
so if I'm listening to my scanner radio, I can probably listen to fire dispatch calls, and it can probably listen to ambulance calls as well. But police or sheriff, no. And the idea that the other part of the question was not only why, but when can I expect to hear it again?
Probably won't come back.
Probably won't come back. And I'm guessing, is that due to just enhanced safety and security?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, very good. Well, see, there we got your answer. That's why we do the show, so that your questions all about the City of Marion and its workings can be answered. Well, Chief Williams, we're all out of time, so I want to thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I hope that it was fun for you. We enjoyed having you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now I have a special guest, Mike Graff from City Engineering, who's going to be joining us. And then in a little bit, we're going to take a trip down and visit with Rhonda Pierce, and she's going to show us how the wayfinder signs are made. So you don't want to turn the channel. You want to stay tuned and watch. And also remember, 536-WSOT is the number that you can call or text to add your comments to the show. Also, go to the show website, ctmarion.com. Watch. We'll be talking to Mike here in just a second. All right. Well, my very special guest on the show today is Mike Graff, and you are the head of engineering for the City of Marion and also traffic.
That's correct. Yes. I just started the traffic department this year. Previously, it had been under the Public Works, and we figured that it was more in line with the engineering department. So when the new administration came in, that's when we felt that it was time to kind of revisit how that operation worked out, and we think hopefully it'll be a good fit. So.
Change is always something that's fun to get used to, right?
Yes, always.
Well, you know, I have 3 things that we are going to talk about today on the show, and I'm excited about it because they're all really positive things.
Good.
So the very first thing that we're going to talk about is going to be the Adams Street project, which you completed in record time.
Right.
And I've had a lot of phone calls from viewers that have asked over the last many months, when is the project going to be completed? And congratulations, you beat your deadline, right?
Well,
so,
I didn't do
well,
it. The folks that
the
do
team.
It, absolutely.
And then there's another thing we're going to talk about, and that's the new wayfinder signs here. They're going to be going up throughout the city, which we actually have already mentioned on a previous show. And then there's a new project has to do with traffic lights.
It does, and the safety for our police and fire and the ambulance personnel, and how it involves them. So yeah, absolutely.
All right, so a lot of things that you want to hear about. So just don't turn the channel. Stick around with us, and you'll find out about some neat things that are coming up. But first off, let's talk about Adams Street. Okay. For folks who watch the show that maybe not live in Marion, because we broadcast all over North Central Indiana. So what exactly is the Adams Street project that I keep referencing?
Well, the Adams Street project, as most federal aid projects, started about 5 or 6 years ago. The design concept was part of an overall citizen, the folks that live on that area came to meetings and got to see what the drawings looked like. Originally, it was going to be a boulevard, almost like Euclid Avenue. For those of you that don't know Euclid Avenue, it's a center island that goes down the street with trees. And when we proposed that originally to buffer the residents from the commercial development, the Cafe Valley and the old RCA, that was proposed, but most of the folks that lived there, some of them, their driveways were right on Adams Street. They didn't want to have to go a block, make a U-turn and come back around. So that was kind of scrubbed. And because we were looking at particular funding for it, when we took that out of the process, what we ended up doing was shifting the road to the east and giving the homeowners about 10 foot more frontage, giving them a sidewalk that they'd never had before. At least some, or the majority of them. A few of them didn't get sidewalks. And then we put a walking trail that would be on the Cafe Valley and the RCA side that allows us to connect into the Cardinal Greenway.
Oh, wow. So that gives safe passage to anybody that's going that direction as well.
You can use it for bike trail or walk trail and gets you off of the main part of the road and gives you access down from 38th Street to 33rd Street. And from 33rd, you can go back east and tie into the Cardinal Greenway.
So now by shifting the street a little bit and then adding the sidewalk then do I understand correctly that the road is narrowed a little bit?
Because originally that whole area, the major design of that area was for commercial. And then when RCA went out, which is what kind of sparked the initial conversations about what we would do with that area, there was talk about how do we get the people that have lived there so many years back to a residential feel. So by doing that, we looked at, obviously in the design phase, the boulevard effect. And then when that wasn't something that people really liked, we went to a little bit narrower road. Still meets all the guidelines. You can still get a fire truck. You can get emergency vehicles down through it. But it shifted it over and allowed for more of a pedestrian, more of a residential feel that those folks hadn't had.
So your road's going to be a little bit narrower, so instinctively people are going to slow down. They're going to be a little more cautious, so it's going to increase safety for pedestrians and residents alike. And then I also would say that it's beautified the area quite a bit.
Well, I hope so. There's a little bit more grass than that used to be. It used to be a lot of hardscape, a lot of asphalt, a lot of arrows that kind of told you got to turn here or keep going. And at one point, there was even stoplights out there. And the stoplights were removed when RCA left because there was not a need for it at
the
shift
traffic
changes.
Control wasn't there.
So that's kind of what made us look at that shift, and where we did the shift and where we were able to make up the room was we went towards the old RCA property, and where there used to be some green space and some trees, we moved the road over into that area with new curbs and then the trail on that side. So.
And I will tell you that I have had many viewers who have called in over the many months now and over several years actually requesting more sidewalks, more pedestrian-friendly elements to our city. So hats off to you for completing that early. And I think it turned out really good.
Yeah.
The team, I know, took on a great project.
It
turned out great.
It was pretty interesting because I would get phone calls, and I'm sure I remember hearing some on Citytalk. When is it going to be done? When is it going to be done? People tend to remember or forget that when they read it in the paper, there was an time frame in it.
Yeah.
But when all of a sudden you kind of see a little bit more activity and you see things getting closer, you're like, well, why is it not open? Why are we waiting? But actually, we got it done 3 months early, which is phenomenal for that type of for a $2 million plus project. So it came in under budget.
Under budget.
And it came in ahead of schedule.
Congratulations. That's great. That's great.
I don't take the kudos for that. I think the crews did a phenomenal job.
Yes.
And they kept the businesses opened, which was very important. I mean, you had several businesses that was their livelihood, and we were able to keep channels, of operation for them to get their day in and day out. So a little bit inconvenience, but Penguin Point had a chance to remodel, so that was even a plus for them. So.
Made some lemonade, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, now I need to keep an eye on time. We're going to jump over into another topic here, and we actually are going to talk about the new Wayfinder signs that are going to be going in throughout the city. And while we talk about that, I wanted to let folks know also that we had a chance to go out and visit with Rhonda Pearson, who's actually the gal who's taking care of that project as far as creating those signs. So we're going to get to see a little bit. She
does a good job, and this video is pretty
It was
pretty
fascinating.
Sweet.
It was so fascinating. So we're going to go ahead and play some of that so you can watch that while we talk about this. So it was so fascinating to see the whole entire process, how she starts with the design on the computer.
Right.
And then she takes and prints that out, and then the transferring process. If you want to explain a little bit about what we're seeing here.
Well, you can see where originally she started on the computer and laid out what she needed to, and then she has a machine that she puts the reflective tape into it, and it actually cuts out what will be the permanent part of the sign. And then she will, obviously you can see she hand removes all of that material.
It's painstaking effort.
And each one of these wayfinding signs has up to 4 signs on them. So, and we have multiple layers to do. We have multiple signage to do, and as you can see, that's what she does, and she does it very well. But she's very good at it. I couldn't do it as fast as she does.
I would say she was so fast. I was amazed.
She does it very, very well. She does a good job, and she understands the process, which makes it easier. And you can see that one is saying museum and library, which will probably be on one of the signs that will be on State Road 18 to lead you to the library. And a lot of people don't know that there's a museum in the library.
That's right.
There's a very neat museum in the library. So that's kind of highlights that area. So,
so now of the Wayfinder signs, then where all can we expect to find them? They're going to be all throughout the city of Marion?
Mostly the concentration when the grant was applied for was in the downtown area. And that being because if you go to Kokomo and to Wabash, that's the kind of the central highlight area. You're trying to get people that are coming in to your downtown area that don't know where specific locations are. You want to give them that sign to help point them. I know everybody has Google and they can GPS everything, but it's still neat to see the signs directly in front of them and kind of highlighting the areas within the city. So if you don't have your smartphone on, you can say, oh, I didn't know that was there, and maybe give you a chance to Google it and see if I want to go there, but it also helps direct you. So.
Very good. Okay, now I need to then switch to another topic then real quick for the sake of time, and that's a new project that has to do with traffic light preemption.
Yes.
And so what exactly does that mean, traffic light preemption?
It's not a brand new project because we do have them, or we've had them in the past. And what it is, when we talk about preemption, it's to make it as easy as possible to understand. If you're in a police vehicle and you're called to a scene, you need to be able to get through intersections as quickly as possible to get, maybe to save a life or to get to the scene. In the vehicle, there is a switch that will turn the light red for any oncoming traffic and allow the police officer or emergency vehicle to have a green light to go through those intersections. We've had it in the past. We still have some on the bypass, but what we're doing with the recent grant that we got, which is a 90-10 federal share money, 90% from the feds and 10% from the city of Marion, we are adding several more of those preemptions and updating the new cars that we've gotten from the Marion General Hospital that aren't already equipped with those. So it's a very, very neat project, very, very important to the safety of those guys driving, and very, very important to the safety of those that when they get a red light, they're going to stop instead of trying to maybe get through an intersection and the police officer or emergency's got to stop, or possibly could have an impact with those. So.
You know, I think so many of us, you know, you think about it, if you or a loved one have need for emergency responders to be able to come to their aid or your aid, you want them there as fast as they can possibly be there. And by this project, this being added into and incorporated even further than what it already is into our traffic light system, it's going to allow that to happen. So you can rest assured with a better peace of mind that your first responders are going to make it to you faster and in a much more timely manner than they have in times past. So now we're all out of time, and I want to give a great big thank you to Mike Graff for coming out here and visiting with us here. I'm so glad. Will you come back again?
Sure.
All right.
I'm always got something going on.
Wonderful. So. We'll look forward to having you back again sometime.